We already know that there are Republicans running for the Republican nomination against Trump who have either said or implied they would pardon Donald Trump. Now, remember, presidential pardons apply only to federal charges. Trump is facing state charges in New York already. In the next 10 or so days, we may learn about Trump facing charges at the state level in Georgia. A presidential pardon would not help Trump there. But regardless, now with a third criminal indictment against Donald Trump, is there an interest among Republican candidates of becoming the Trump can't win, but I'll make sure to pardon him candidate? Are there going to be candidates running against Trump who will see this third indictment as an opportunity to say, Trump is too beleaguered to be the nominee himself, but trust me, if you choose me, I'll keep him out of trouble by pardoning him. Although remember, at the state level, they can't actually help Donald Trump. Who might be the people that would do that? Well, we have Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis in a recent interview on Outkick, which we looked at, what's the date? I guess this was last week, certainly implied that he would pardon Donald Trump. Here was what DeSantis had to say.
Election even happens, that you would look at that. I think you said on our show before, you'd look at pardoning all the January 6th.
Well, my view, I mean, with respect to do we really think it's good for the country to have an almost 80-year-old former president in prison? Like, is that going to be good for us to come together?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, there's divisions in this society, but there is some opportunity, I think, to come together on some things. But it's like when all this is going on, that makes it very difficult. So, I look back at like Nixon pardoning Ford. He took a lot of heat for it, but I think it was the right decision.
All right. So anyway, we talked last week about how this analogy to Nixon and Ford is nonsense. But this is DeSantis basically saying, without saying I will pardon him, saying, I don't think it's good for the country to have a nearly 80-year-old former president sitting in prison. So maybe DeSantis would take this up as, listen, I believe I'm a better candidate than Trump. Trump made mistakes. Trump can't win, but I promise I will pardon him. Vote for me. Could that help DeSantis maybe regain some of the 40+% support he has lost? I don't know. Vivek Ramaswamy, who joined me earlier this week, he says he will pardon Trump. After yesterday's indictment, he put out a direct-to-camera video saying, I will pardon Trump. Take a listen.
It's another sad moment in our country's history. The 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, has yet again been indicted by the Biden DOJ, a political party in power that is now repeatedly using police force to indict and arrest and potentially eliminate its political opponents from competition. This is a politicized prosecution. It is a political persecution through prosecution, now in a third indictment just in a matter of months against the person who is still at present the lead contender in the Republican primary.
And remember that Vivek doesn't actually have or cite any evidence for the things he's saying. I know it doesn't matter to a lot of people, but it's an important thing to note.
For U.S. president. I want to be very clear. I am running for U.S. president in that same Republican primary. It would be easier for me if Donald Trump were eliminated from competition. That's not how I want to win. This is not about politics to me. This is about first principles. We do not want to become a country where the party in power is able to use banana republic-like tactics to eliminate its political opponents. Yet I'm sad to say that's exactly where we are. The allegations in this indictment fall flat. It is wrong and incorrect and inaccurate to place blame for what happened on January 6th at the feet of Donald Trump. I said this at the time. I've said it ever since then. I continue to say it today. I would not have made the same judgments that Donald Trump did in how he handled that day. But that's different from saying that he committed a crime.
Wow.
He did not. He specifically told the protesters that day to behave peacefully. The First Amendment in this country gives political protesters the...
So this goes on and on. I'm not going to play it all for you. Eventually, Vivek says, I would pardon Trump. The things he's saying, of course, are not actually relevant. Trump is not being indicted for things he said. He attempted to subvert the will of the people, fake electors scheme. How many times am I going to repeat the same stuff? But they're going with he's being indicted for speech. Here is Vivek also the day before on CNN saying, yes, he would pardon Trump, at least in the classified documents case.
But let's move on now to federal prosecutors added new obstruction of justice charges against former President Donald Trump on Thursday. The indictment, the superseding indictment, says that after Trump learned that the Justice Department wanted to subpoena security footage from Mar-a-Lago, Trump talked with an aide who later told the IT director at Mar-a-Lago that, quote, the boss, end quote, wanted the footage deleted. Now, I know you've said repeatedly that you would pardon Trump in this document's case, but this is significant new information. So given this new information, would you still pardon him if you were president?
The standard I use as our next president is what moves our country forward. What is the right thing for the United States of America?
Right, and would having a president like this move it forward?
The right answer is to move on, and I would pardon him. I intend to be our next president, and yes, I do believe I will move us forward. And yes, I think one of the right ways to do that is to pardon the former president of the United States from what is clearly a politicized prosecution. And I'll share a view with you, Casey.
All right. So he says that he would pardon Trump. One of the claims that Vivek and others have made is these are process crimes, and that means that these aren't really the types of things we should be prosecuting for. Now, a process crime is a crime that interferes with the judicial process. So like if you lie to people investigating something, or if you obstruct those investigating, or if you fail to appear in court, that's what process crimes are. They're not, oh, I went and killed someone. It's I lied or obstructed an investigation into a murder, which I didn't commit, or something like that. And the idea is these aren't really related to underlying criminality. It is really important to know that the charges against Donald Trump are not process crimes. They are not based in actions during his investigation or a trial. There are additional charges that are, because Trump did try to obstruct. But especially with this third indictment, we're talking about Trump's actions in the aftermath of the 2020 election. They're not related to an investigation. They are Trump's actions when he conspired to defraud the American voters, when he tried to subvert the will of the people, etc. And so if you look at the Manhattan District Attorney charges, falsifying business records, hush money, etc., that is not a process crime. That was something Trump did to try to affect the outcome of an election. It is a violation of state election law. If you look at the second set of charges related to the documents and the willful retention of information he's not supposed to have, etc., there are some process elements when Trump tried to obstruct the investigation, deleting, etc., but that is separate from the underlying crimes. And again, with this latest charge, these are also not process crimes. We're talking about fraud, corruption, abuse of power, conspiracy. So Vivek and others saying these are merely process crimes, they are wrong. Just because someone may have committed process crimes doesn't mean that their wrongdoing should be ignored. But on the merits of what they are claiming, they are wrong. So is there someone who stands to benefit from saying, I will be the one to most strongly pardon Trump? Could it be DeSantis? Could it be Ramaswamy? Could it be someone else? I don't know. DeSantis has lost more than 40% support. Is he going to get it back by saying, I will pardon Trump? Hard to say. Vivek Ramaswamy continues to pull 5%. Does he have a path to the nomination by saying, I will be the guy who most strongly pardons Trump? It's hard to imagine, but I'll leave that question with you. Is there a path to the nomination for someone who runs on Trump's damaged? He can't win, but I can, and I'll pardon him. Let me know what you think.